I've got a quote here that's linked to what you just said. It's from Yuval Noah Harari, who you
Yes.
mentioned. He says, humans are now hackable animals.
Yes.
The whole idea that humans have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside them, that is over. And Sam Altman said the most successful founders do not set out to create companies. They are on a mission to create something closer to a religion. And at some point, it turns out that forming a company is the easiest way to do so. And lastly, a former Google engineer said, what is going to be created will effectively be a god. It's not a god in the sense that it will make lightning or cause hurricanes. But if there is something 1 billion times smarter than the smartest human, what else can you call it?
It's odd. Thank you for quoting that, because I was going to quote it to you. The Sam Altman's point about making a religion. And that is what is happening. And people have pointed out the obvious. Here you have a system, even now, that has got some of the qualities we normally associate with God. It appears to be omniscient. You can ask it any question. It is omnipresent through the internet, etc., etc. And therefore, already there are worship groups to worship AI. And some people welcome this and say, well, this is the way we should go. And other people say, just wait a moment. There's something very strange going on here. And in the end, you are bowing down to something that in the end is idolatrous, because it is less than God. But it's very tempting to do that.
I mean, people are basically praying to it now. They're confiding in a way that they might have.
Absolutely doing it. And you know, I'm fascinated by this. I've never seen one of these before, but I like it. And I tell you why I like it.
So for people that can't see what we're doing, it's a brain.
It's a brain, and it's got two halves. And one of the people who've influenced my thinking about AI a lot is Dr. Ian McGilchrist, the author of this fascinating book called The Matter with Things. And he has studied the fact that this brain has two hemispheres, two halves. Both halves are involved in almost every cognitive event, but the two different halves have different ways of paying attention to the world. One is narrow focus, the left side of the brain, and the other is the big picture. And he says what has happened historically in the West is for the last 500 or so years, we have concentrated on the narrow, rationalist, reductionist left side of the brain, and we've forgotten the right side that contextualizes everything, so that, quote, we now find ourselves in a world where we understand how almost everything works, but we know the meaning of nothing. And what he calls for is to open this sphere up. And of course, that includes to beauty, culture, art, music, and religion. Step by step, he appears to be creating more room for God, because God makes sense of the space he feels is very necessary to fulfill. And I find that absolutely fascinating. And you've probably noticed it too, the number of intellectuals who are step by step taking the Christian faith more seriously as giving a rational account of what's going on that makes very big sense of the big picture.
What is going on in society? Because it does feel like more and more people have these sort of existential questions about meaning, and they might be turning to Christianity or Islam or other. But what is, from a 30,000 foot perspective, happening to us, which is making us ask some of these questions? And for, younger generations, it might be spirituality, however they define that. But there's certainly a macro picture here of something happening.
Oh, there is. I agree with you entirely. And I think it's because we've had pushed at us for too long a very reductionist view of the world. It's nothing but physics and chemistry. It's nothing but this or that. And people rightly feel it's too small a world to live in. They're looking to break out of this. Isn't there a bigger picture that can make sense of my world and make sense of my life and giving some meaning? Because if you reduce everything, it ends up in a black hole of meaninglessness. And that's one of my top reasons for not being an atheist, because it destroys rationality almost by definition. Because it tells me that my brain, which does all the thinking, It's not my mind. It's connected, and those are two different things, and that's another big story. But this is the end product of a mindless, unguided process. And I have fun with scientists, sometimes. I ask them about the brain and how it arose, and they tell me something like that. And I said, and you trust it? Tell me, if the computer that you use every day, if you knew it was the end product of a random process, would you trust it? Every single scientist, and some of them are very high-powered, that I've asked that question to have said, no, I would not. So I say, you've got a problem, haven't you? Your atheism goes too far. It undermines the very rationality we need to do science, let alone to believe in atheism. And that's my main beef with people like Richard Dawkins and the new atheists. But I see they're fading. They're fading. So here's the irony. Atheism, claiming rationality, destroys it.